Chapter 15. Mikhail quickly donned his sweatpants and padded barefoot across the penthouse, returning with 2 steaming mugs of freshly brewed tea. Isabella had adjusted the cashmere throw around herself, feeling disadvantaged without her clothes, which were now a shredded pile of fabric on the floor. She accepted the mug with a quiet thank you, grateful for something to occupy her hands. The silence between them felt weighted with unspoken questions. Isabella sipped the hot tea, allowing its warmth to spread through her, a counterpoint to her vulnerability after their passionate encounter. Mikhail settled beside her, leaving a respectful distance despite their shared intimacy. He nodded, showing unexpected patience. "Ask me," he said simply. "Anything you want to know." Isabella took a steadying breath, and then another sip of tea as she considered her options. She opted to be direct. Her legal mind was reasserting itself, seeking logical foundations in a situation that defied conventional understanding. "If Victor is targeting people you care about, showing interest in me means risking your interests. Why would you do that?" "Because some things outweigh caution," Mikhail answered, watching her with those 2 perceptive eyes. Steam rose from his tea, curling between them. "Because in 900 years, I've rarely encountered a human who interested me as you do." Isabella froze. 900? She stared at him, recalculating everything. Her tea sloshed dangerously close to the rim of her mug. "That's impossible." "No more impossible than men transforming into wolves," he countered with a slight smile. "We age differently, more slowly after our first transformation." The revelation hung between them, another layer of the impossible she was asked to accept. Her mind raced, cataloguing implications. "There's a photograph I found," she said. "It shows you with Sarah Duncan in 1995. You haven't aged since then." The evidence clicked into place, another piece of the supernatural puzzle. Surprise flickered across his features. "You've been investigating thoroughly." There was respect in his tone. And something else. Concern. "Where did you find that photograph?" "Municipal archives," Isabella replied, her fingers tightening around the warm mug. "An elderly clerk named Mrs. Gladwell directed me to it." Mikhail remained still in his unnaturally perfect way. "Millicent Gladwell?" "White hair, thick glasses, about this tall?" He indicated with his hand. His entire demeanor changed, and tension returned to his previously relaxed posture. "Yes. Do you know her?" Isabella felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature or her state of undress beneath the throw. "Millicent Gladwell died in 1988, Mikhail said flatly. "She was one of Victor's human allies for decades. If someone is using her identity—" He didn't finish the sentence, but his meaning was clear. Cold dread washed over Isabella. "Then who was I speaking to all day?" She set her tea down, suddenly unable to stomach it. The vulnerability she'd been feeling since their encounter deepened into something more unsettling. "Someone who wanted you to find exactly what you found," Mikhail replied grimly. "Someone working for Victor." Isabella's knees drew up toward her chest beneath the throw, a subconscious protective gesture. "I've been manipulated from the start," she realized. "He led me exactly where he wanted me to go, and showed me exactly what he wanted me to see." This new revelation complicated the intimacy they'd shared minutes ago, making her feel even more vulnerable. Mikhail set his mug down and moved closer, taking her hands in his. His much larger hands enveloped hers completely, unnaturally warm against her suddenly cold fingers. "This is why you must leave Atlanta," he said urgently. "Victor is playing a game with both of us, and he doesn't care who gets hurt." Isabella looked down at their joined hands, his large and powerful, hers small but strong in their own right. The physical connection anchored her when her emotions threatened to overwhelm her. "I don't run from bullies," she said quietly. "Human or otherwise." Mikhail's expression softened. "No, you don't. It's one of the many reasons why." He trailed off, seemingly unable to articulate what he wanted to. "Why I find you extraordinary," he finished, his voice dropping to a low rumble that seemed to vibrate through her bones. Isabella looked up, meeting his gaze directly. The vulnerability of her position, naked beneath a throw blanket, in the penthouse of a supernatural predator she'd been intimate with minutes ago, should have terrified her. Instead, she felt a strange calm settling over her, the kind that came with absolute clarity. "If Victor has been manipulating me from the beginning, then he wanted me to find you," she reasoned. "The question is why." Mikhail released her hands reluctantly and stood, moving to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Atlanta's glittering skyline. The city lights cast him in silhouette, his powerful frame outlined against the darkness beyond. For a moment, he seemed to belong to both worlds, the civilized urban landscape and something far more primal. "Victor believes in keeping bloodlines pure," he said finally. "In his 9 centuries, he's eliminated countless werewolves who formed attachments to humans. It's why he killed Sarah. When she was young, she and I had become close." The implication settled over Isabella like a cold shroud. "And now I'm in the same position." "Yes." Mikhail turned back to face her, his expression grave. "But with one critical difference. You're not helpless, Isabella. You've already survived an encounter that would have killed most humans." Isabella clutched the throw at her neck and stood, refusing to remain in a position of physical disadvantage while discussing matters of life and death. The cashmere felt luxurious against her skin, reminding her how far she'd strayed from her structured, logical world of legal briefs and courtroom arguments. "Tell me about Sarah," she said, watching his face carefully. The archive photo showed her smiling, happy. She wasn't just a victim. She was someone you cared about. Pain flickered across Mikhail's features, ancient and raw. She was brilliant, a cultural anthropologist studying urban legends. The irony didn't escape us when she discovered what I was. His smile was bittersweet. Sarah wanted to document everything: our history, our biology, our culture. She saw beauty where others would have seen only monsters. Isabella moved closer to him, drawn by the genuine emotion in his voice. "And Victor killed her for it." Understanding dawned on Isabella, cold and clear. "So, these killings aren't random. They're a message to you." "Yes." Mikhail's hands clenched at his sides. "And now he's drawn you into his game. Another human I've shown interest in. Another lesson he believes I need to learn." Isabella processed this, her mind working through implications with the precision that had made her a formidable prosecutor. "Then we have an advantage," she said finally. "He expects you to try to protect me, to hide me away." Which is exactly what we should do, Mikhail insisted. No. Isabella shook her head firmly. It's what he's counting on. Predators like Victor, human or lichen, thrive on creating fear and isolation. They want their victims separated, vulnerable. She moved to stand directly in front of him. The height difference between them pronounced as she tilted her head back to meet his gaze. What if, instead of running, we use me as bait, but on our terms, not his? Mikhail's eyes flashed red momentarily, a visceral reaction he couldn't suppress. Absolutely not. It's not your decision to make, Isabella countered, her voice steady despite standing before him in nothing but a throw blanket. This is my life, my choice. And strategically, it's sound. Victor expects you to hide me away, to play defense. He won't expect us to take the offensive. Mikhail stepped closer, the heat of his body radiating against her skin. You don't understand what he's capable of. I've prosecuted the worst humanity has to offer, Isabella replied. Serial killers, sadists, people who view others as objects to be used and discarded. The species may be different, but I'll bet the psychology isn't. For a long moment, Mikhail simply looked at her, something like wonder crossing his features. 900 years, he said softly. And humans still surprise me. He reached out, his fingers hovering near her cheek, without quite touching. Especially you. Isabella felt her pulse quicken, aware of her body's response to his proximity, despite the grave conversation. Then we're agreed. We work together, as equals, to set a trap for Victor. Not agreed, Mikhail corrected, his hand finally making contact with her face, cupping her cheek with impossible gentleness. But I recognize that I can't stop you. And I'd rather be by your side, protecting you, than watching from a distance while you put yourself in danger. The warmth of his palm against her skin sent a shiver through Isabella that had nothing to do with fear. Her body remembered his touch from their earlier encounter, and she craved it again, despite the rational part of her mind warning against further complications. We should contact Damon, she said, forcing herself to focus on strategy rather than the electricity between them. Make sure he's safe. If Victor knows about my connection to you, Damon is likely in danger too. Mikhail nodded, reluctantly dropping his hand from her face. I'll have Katerina send someone to watch over him. She'll make sure someone watches him discreetly. And I should get dressed, Isabella added, suddenly acutely aware that her clothes lay on the floor by the window in tatters. Mikhail's lips curved into a slight smile. Check the guest bedroom. There are several brand new outfits in there you can choose from. Isabella's eyebrows rose. You just happen to have women's clothing ready and waiting. One of the hazards of sleeping with werewolves, he replied with a casual shrug. Sometimes clothing doesn't survive the encounter. Isabella narrowed her eyes, a flash of irritation cutting through her professional demeanor. And how many women have needed these emergency wardrobes before me? Mikhail had the good sense to look momentarily chastened, though amusement still lingered in his eyes. The point is, you have options beyond those scraps on the floor. Though I admit, I find this look on you quite compelling. Isabella felt heat rise to her cheeks, her body responding to the appreciation in his voice. 900 years old, and you still use lines like that, she retorted acerbically. Only when they're true, he replied, his eyes never leaving hers. and only with you. The simple statement mollified her. As she went to check out her clothing options, Isabella felt the weight of his words following her, adding another layer of complexity to a situation that was already beyond anything she could have imagined a week ago. In the guest room, she caught sight of herself in the mirror. Flushed cheeks, tousled hair, eyes bright with a mixture of fear and determination. Looking back at her, the woman was still Isabella Santos, assistant district attorney. But she was something more now, too. Something still taking shape, defined by her choices rather than her circumstances. She quickly selected an outfit from the closet that looked like it would work, and a fresh set of lingerie from a drawer, refusing to dwell on who else might have used these accommodations. As she dressed, Isabella made a silent vow to herself. Victor wanted to use her as a pawn in his game against Mikhail. Instead, she would become the most dangerous piece on the board, the one he never saw coming until it was too late.